True rarity doesn't come from being seen, admired, or celebrated by the world. It comes from the quiet strength a woman carries when no one is watching. It's the resilience that grows in silence, the ability to stand tall after falling, and the wisdom to find meaning even in pain. The rarest women are not the ones who have never struggled. They are the ones who have refused to let struggle define them. They have learned that strength is not about being unbreakable, but about being unshakably human. A rare woman knows that every setback holds a seed of growth. She understands that pain is not the end of the story, it's part of the process that shapes her character. When life tests her resolve, she doesn't run, she pauses, learns, and rebuilds with more intention than before. She finds power in vulnerability and grace in imperfection. The moments that others call failures, she calls lessons. The moments that seem like endings, she turns into beginnings. While others seek validation from the outside world, the rare woman looks within. She doesn't measure her worth by applause, approval, or attention. She knows that real confidence comes from alignment, when who she is matches what she believes. She doesn't pretend to be strong. She embodies strength by showing up as herself, fully and fearlessly. Her power is not loud, but it's undeniable. It's not about dominance, it's about depth. The rarest women understand that the world may not always recognize them immediately, and that's okay. They are not chasing recognition, they are building substance. They know that true influence often grows in quiet spaces, in the way they treat people, in the choices they make when no one is watching, and in the integrity that anchors their actions. Their legacy is written not in headlines, but in hearts. They have walked through fire and learned to use the ashes as soil. They have faced storms and discovered that their roots run deeper than the wind can shake. They carry scars not as signs of weakness, but as evidence of survival. Each mark tells a story of courage, of endurance, of the moment they could have given up but didn't. The rarest women don't hide those marks, they honor them. They know that every scar is proof of a battle fought and won. Their strength isn't something they were born with, it's something they built. It's crafted through countless moments of doubt, fear, and uncertainty that they faced head on. It's a mosaic of choices, to get up, to try again, to keep believing even when belief feels heavy. They understand that resilience is not a single act of bravery, but a lifelong practice of rising. What makes them truly rare is their ability to remain kind in a world that hasn't always been kind to them. They don't let bitterness shape their spirit or pain close their heart. They lead with empathy, not ego. They know that power is multiplied when it is shared, and that compassion is the quiet form of courage that changes everything. They are not afraid to stand alone when truth requires it. They don't follow trends, they follow their convictions. They can walk away from what doesn't align with their values, even if it costs them comfort. They know that self-respect is worth more than acceptance, and that peace is more valuable than popularity. Their rarity lies in their consistency, in showing up again and again, even when no one notices. They don't need to announce their greatness, their actions speak louder than any title or trophy ever could. They are the steady heartbeat in chaos, the calm voice in conflict, the light that others look to when things fall apart. And while the world may often overlook them, history never forgets them. Because rare women don't just exist, they endure, they evolve, and they elevate everyone around them simply by being who they are. Leadership, for the rarest women, is never about control or authority. It is about responsibility. It's about seeing people not as tools to achieve a goal, but as individuals with potential waiting to be ignited. The rare woman leads with empathy, not ego, and her presence creates an environment where others feel seen, heard, and valued. She knows that when people feel valued, they bring their best selves to the table. Her leadership isn't about standing above others. It's about walking beside them, guiding them with purpose and humility. She understands that influence comes not from demanding respect, but from earning it through consistency and integrity. The rare woman never needs to announce her power. It's evident in the way she carries herself, in the way she treats others, and in the way she builds trust without ever forcing it. Her words carry weight because they come from truth. Her actions inspire loyalty because they are rooted in authenticity. She leads not through fear, but through example, showing others what courage looks like in motion. While others may seek titles or recognition, she seeks impact. She knows that real leadership doesn't require a spotlight, it requires conviction. Her satisfaction doesn't come from being praised, but from knowing that her actions have uplifted someone else. She celebrates the success of others as if it were her own, because she understands that leadership is not a competition, it's a collective rise. She uses her voice to amplify others, especially those who have not yet found the courage to use theirs. The rare woman builds people, not empires. She measures her influence by the lives she's touched, not by the followers she's gained. Her focus is on creating spaces where others can thrive, where ideas can grow, and where failure is not a shameful end but a valuable teacher. She understands that leadership is not a position to be held. It's a privilege to be earned every day through acts of service and understanding. She listens before she speaks, knowing that listening is one of the greatest forms of respect. When she does speak, her words carry the power of empathy and clarity. She doesn't use her voice to dominate a room, but to invite others in. Her leadership creates a ripple effect. The people around her begin to believe more deeply in themselves because she believed in them first. She plants confidence in others like seeds and tends to them with patience and care. Her leadership is built on trust, a trust she earns through transparency and consistency. She doesn't pretend to have all the answers. Instead, she encourages collaboration and collective problem solving. She creates safety in uncertainty by reminding those around her that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. Her humility allows her to learn from those she leads and heading. In moments of crisis, her leadership shines the brightest. She doesn't panic or point fingers. She anchors others through calm, deliberate action. Her composure is not the result of having everything under control, but of knowing that control is not the goal, direction is. She focuses on what can be done, on the next step forward, on the strength that comes from unity. Her steadiness gives others permission to breathe and to hope. She values people over profit, integrity over image, and connection over competition. She knows that leadership without compassion is hollow, and success without impact is fleeting. She leads from the heart, understanding that true progress is built on relationships, not results alone. Her ability to balance strength and softness is what sets her apart. She can be firm without being cold, decisive without being dismissive. The rarest woman in leadership is not afraid to admit her mistakes. She owns them, learns from them, and uses them as lessons to guide others. Her transparency builds trust because it reminds everyone that perfection is not the goal, progress is. She doesn't lead to impress, she leads to improve. Her humility disarms, her courage inspires, and her authenticity invites others to rise with her. Through her leadership, she doesn't just create followers, she creates more leaders. She understands that legacy is not about what she accomplishes alone, but about what continues to grow after she's gone. Every person she mentors, every life she touches, every act of kindness she offers becomes part of the larger story of leadership redefined, one led not by control, but by care. Courage is the foundation upon which the rarest women build their lives. It is not a loud declaration of fearlessness, but a quiet decision to move forward even when fear whispers the loudest. The rare woman knows that courage does not always roar. Sometimes it is the soft, steady voice that says, "I will try again tomorrow." She does not wait for the absence of fear to begin. She acts in spite of it, knowing that every step taken in uncertainty is a victory in itself. She understands that comfort is seductive, but growth never lives there. The rare woman chooses to leave the familiar behind, stepping into spaces that challenge her, stretch her, and demand her full potential. She knows that every comfort zone has invisible walls built from doubt and routine, and she refuses to let them define the boundaries of her life. Her courage is not reckless. It is deliberate, thoughtful, and deeply rooted in purpose. She walks into the unknown not because she is sure of what will happen, but because she trusts herself to handle whatever does. Every courageous act she takes begins with a choice to believe that she is capable of more than what her fear suggests. She may tremble, she may doubt, but she moves anyway. She understands that courage is not about erasing fear, but about changing her relationship with it. Instead of seeing fear as a stop sign, she sees it as a signal that something important is at stake. Her fear reminds her that she is pushing boundaries, and that in itself is a sign of progress. The rare woman has faced rejection, disappointment, and failure, yet she continues to rise. She has learned that every no can be fuel for a stronger yes later. Her courage is tested most when things do not go as planned, and it is in those moments that her resilience shines brightest. She knows that courage isn't proven in easy times, it's forged in adversity. It's what allows her to stand when everything else tells her to sit down. It's what allows her to speak when silence would be safer. She doesn't chase perfection because she knows that courage requires imperfection. It requires vulnerability, openness, and the willingness to be seen as she truly is. She has discovered that the bravest thing she can ever do is to be authentic, to stand in her truth even when the world demands that she shrink. Courage for her is about showing up fully, unapologetically, and without disguise. It's the act of saying, "This is me," and meaning it. The rare woman understands that courage is not a single act but a habit, a daily choice to keep going. It's in the small things, in speaking her mind during a meeting, in setting a boundary that protects her peace, in saying no when it's easier to say yes. It's in the moments when she admits she doesn't know something and is brave enough to learn. Courage shows up in her persistence, her patience, and her willingness to begin again, no matter how many times life demands it. Her courage also lies in her ability to hope when hope feels foolish. When life knocks her down, she allows herself to feel the pain, but she does not let it consume her. She finds strength in faith, in the belief that something good can still come from what went wrong. She looks at the world not through the lens of what it has taken from her, but through the possibility of what she can still create. Her courage is not the denial of hardship, but the decision to rise above it. There are moments when she is afraid, uncertain, or exhausted, but even then, she keeps moving. Her courage does not demand that she be unbreakable. It only asks that she remain unyielding in her spirit. She gives herself permission to rest, but never to quit. She understands that true courage often looks like survival, like showing up when it would be easier to disappear, like choosing love in a world that has given her every reason to close her heart. The rare woman carries her courage quietly, often unnoticed by those who have never had to fight invisible battles. Yet her bravery touches everything she does. It's in her words, her choices, her compassion, and her endurance. Her courage is contagious. It gives others permission to face their own fears, to take their own first steps, to believe that they too are capable of rising. She becomes a living reminder that fear may visit, but it never has to stay. She has learned through experience and struggle that courage is not about being fearless, but about being faithful to her purpose. It is about honoring the fire inside her, even when the world tries to extinguish it. Every risk she takes, every truth she speaks, every dream she dares to pursue becomes a testament to her belief that life is not meant to be safe. It is meant to be lived fully, boldly, and without apology. The rarest women understand that validation is fleeting, but purpose is lasting. They do not measure their worth by the opinions of others or by the applause they receive. Instead, they root their value in who they are and what they stand for. They know that the world can be loud with judgment and expectation, but they refuse to let external noise drown out their inner voice. Their sense of purpose comes from a deeper place, a place that cannot be shaken by criticism or inflated by praise. They walk their path not to impress others, but to fulfill something meaningful within themselves. They have learned that chasing validation is a trap that never truly satisfies. Approval from others is temporary, and it often comes at the cost of authenticity. The rare woman refuses to live a life shaped by the expectations of the crowd. She knows that if she tries to please everyone, she will lose herself in the process. Instead, she listens to her own intuition, that quiet, steady guidance that tells her when something feels right. She honors her own standards even when others don't understand them. Purpose for her is not about achievement or status. It is about alignment. It's about doing work that resonates with her soul, building relationships that nurture her growth, and making choices that reflect her truth. She understands that purpose doesn't always appear as grand gestures or public success. Sometimes it is found in the smallest acts of consistency and care. It's in the way she shows up, the energy she brings, and the integrity she maintains. She knows that every decision, no matter how small, is a reflection of who she is becoming. The rare woman finds peace in knowing that her worth is not up for negotiation. She doesn't need to prove herself because she already knows who she is. That self-assurance does not come from arrogance, but from self-respect. It is the quiet confidence of someone who has faced rejection, disappointment, and misunderstanding, and has still chosen to stand tall. She understands that the world may not always see her value immediately, but that does not mean it isn't there. She understands that purpose is not something she has to find outside of herself. It lives within her, waiting to be expressed through her actions, her voice, and her courage. When she pursues something meaningful, she does it not because it will make her look successful, but because it feels right in her spirit. She trusts that fulfillment will follow authenticity, not the other way around. Her purpose becomes her compass, guiding her through moments of doubt and uncertainty with unwavering direction. Validation, when it comes, no longer defines her. It simply affirms what she already knows. She accepts praise with gratitude, but doesn't depend on it. She accepts criticism with openness, but doesn't let it control her. She has built an inner foundation strong enough to withstand the shifting opinions of others. That stability allows her to focus on what truly matters, creating, serving, and growing from a place of integrity. Her purpose fuels her through challenges because it gives meaning to her struggles. She doesn't see hardship as punishment, but as part of the journey. When things don't go her way, she asks not why me, but what is this trying to teach me? Her sense of purpose turns obstacles into lessons and pain into power. It reminds her that her life is not about being liked. It's about being useful, impactful, and true. She moves with intention, understanding that every step she takes is part of something bigger. Her dreams are not fueled by competition, but by contribution. She knows that her light does not dim another's. In fact, it helps others find their own. She is not driven by ego, but by impact. Every action she takes is infused with the quiet conviction that her presence in the world should make a difference, even in the smallest ways. Her purpose also allows her to say no to people, to opportunities, to distractions that do not align with her values. She knows that every yes must be rooted in meaning. She has learned that boundaries are not walls, but expressions of self-respect. The rare woman no longer feels guilty for protecting her peace or choosing herself. She knows that in order to pour into others, she must first stay full of clarity and conviction. When she walks into a room, she doesn't seek to be admired. She seeks to be authentic. Her confidence is not loud or performative. It is calm and grounded, born from the understanding that she no longer needs permission to exist as she is. Her purpose has become her identity, her direction, and her anchor. In a world that teaches women to seek approval, she becomes the quiet rebellion, the one who chooses meaning over recognition, purpose over validation, and truth over the comfort of conformity. Authenticity is the rarest form of strength a woman can possess. It requires courage to be seen for who she truly is, not for who the world expects her to be. The rare woman understands that authenticity is not about perfection. It's about honesty. It's about standing in her truth even when it's uncomfortable, and refusing to mold herself into someone else's version of acceptable. She knows that masks might protect her from judgment, but they also separate her from connection. Her power lies in being real, unfiltered, genuine, and grounded in her own identity. She has learned that the pursuit of perfection is a losing battle. The world often teaches women to hide their flaws, to smile through pain, to always appear composed. But the rare woman rejects that illusion. She knows that her imperfections make her relatable, and her honesty makes her strong. She has stopped apologizing for her sensitivity, her ambition, her opinions, or her silence. Instead, she embraces them as parts of a whole person, complex, evolving, and beautifully human. Her authenticity comes from self-awareness. She takes time to understand her emotions, her triggers, and her boundaries. She knows that authenticity doesn't mean saying everything she feels or doing whatever she wants. It means aligning her actions with her values. She lives in a way that reflects what she believes, not what others demand. This alignment gives her peace, the kind that can't be shaken by gossip, competition, or comparison. She no longer needs to prove herself because her truth is enough. When she speaks, her words carry weight because they come from experience, not performance. She doesn't try to impress, she aims to express. Her authenticity attracts the right people and repels the wrong ones. She's not interested in being universally liked. She's interested in being deeply understood. Her honesty may intimidate some, but it liberates others. By being real, she creates space for others to drop their own masks and show up as themselves. She knows that authenticity requires vulnerability, and vulnerability requires trust. She's not afraid to admit when she's unsure, when she's hurting, or when she needs help. The rare woman sees vulnerability not as weakness, but as connection. She allows others to see her humanity, and in doing so, she invites genuine relationships into her life. She understands that pretending to be perfect only leads to loneliness, but being honest leads to belonging. The rare woman's authenticity is not loud or attention-seeking, it's steady and self-assured. She doesn't need to announce who she is, her presence speaks for itself. Her energy is calm, her confidence quiet, and her strength undeniable. People feel safe around her because she is consistent. They know where she stands. She doesn't shift her personality depending on who's in the room, because she has made peace with the truth that she cannot be everything to everyone. Her authenticity is also reflected in the way she handles failure and success. When she fails, she admits it openly, using it as an opportunity to learn. When she succeeds, she remains humble, knowing that both triumph and struggle are parts of the same journey. She doesn't pretend to have it all figured out because she understands that growth never ends. This humility keeps her grounded and relatable, a reminder that being real is far more inspiring than being perfect. In her work, her relationships, and her dreams, she leads with integrity. She does not compromise her values to gain approval or opportunity. She knows that anything built on pretense will eventually crumble, but what's built on authenticity will endure. Her honesty becomes her foundation, her clarity her compass. Even when faced with pressure to conform, she stays true to her essence, understanding that authenticity may cost her some people, but will never cost her peace. She embraces change as part of her authentic self-expression. She allows herself to evolve without shame, knowing that authenticity doesn't mean staying the same. It means staying true. She can grow, shift, and expand while still being herself. She welcomes new experiences and perspectives, integrating them into her identity without losing her core. Her authenticity gives her freedom, the freedom to explore without fear of losing her sense of self. The rare woman knows that authenticity is magnetic because it's rare in a world obsessed with appearances. People are drawn to her not because she is perfect, but because she is real. Her honesty cuts through the noise, her presence commands quiet respect, and her self-acceptance gives others permission to accept themselves. She doesn't chase trends or validation, because she has found something far more powerful, the peace that comes from living in complete alignment with who she truly is. Legacy for the rarest women is not about being remembered for what they had, but for what they gave. They understand that true influence is not built through possessions, fame, or titles. It's built through impact. The rare woman measures her life not by the milestones she reaches, but by the lives she touches. She is intentional about how she shows up in the world because she knows that every action leaves an imprint, every word carries weight, and every gesture has the power to change someone's day, or even their life. Her legacy is not something she plans for the end of her life. It's something she creates every single day through her choices and her compassion. She knows that greatness is not defined by how high she climbs, but by how many she helps rise along the way. The rare woman finds joy in lifting others, in being a source of encouragement when the world feels heavy. Shared simply, and that up to the ocean Ellie floor without a DERSHIPME, a NSDETONING, leaving the door open for others to walk through. Her impact multiplies because it's rooted in generosity, not ego. She doesn't compete with others, she cultivates them, creating a ripple effect that reaches far beyond what she can see. The rare woman leads by example, not by demand. She understands that people remember how you made them feel long after they forget what you said. Her presence leaves behind traces of kindness and strength that inspire others to believe in themselves. She doesn't need recognition to know her worth. Her satisfaction comes from seeing others become stronger, braver, and more confident because of something she said or did. She invests in people knowing that the greatest legacies are carried in hearts, not history books. Her impact is often quiet, subtle, and unseen by most, but that doesn't make it any less powerful. The rare woman might not always stand on stages or hold titles, but her influence flows through her daily acts of integrity and care. She's the one who listens when someone needs to be heard, who offers support when others turn away, who chooses understanding over judgment. These small acts of humanity are her legacy, the invisible threads that connect her to others in profound ways. She doesn't chase the illusion of a perfect life because she knows that perfection doesn't inspire anyone. Authenticity does. She allows others to see her struggles and how she overcomes them, teaching by living rather than lecturing. Her willingness to be vulnerable gives others permission to be real. Her strength is not about appearing unbreakable. It's about showing that even in the midst of uncertainty, one can still move forward with grace. Her legacy lives in the courage she models for others who are still learning to find their own. The rare woman also understands that legacy requires intention. She doesn't drift through life, she designs it with purpose. She asks herself who she wants to be, not just what she wants to do. She knows that every choice she makes, how she treats people, how she reacts to challenges, how she speaks about others, builds the story that will be told about her when she is no longer there to tell it herself. Her legacy is not accidental. It's deliberate, shaped by her values and driven by her vision. She recognizes that true legacy cannot exist without humility. The rare woman doesn't act out of the desire to be praised. She acts out of the desire to serve. She understands that the most meaningful contributions are often the ones that no one notices, the advice she gives that changes someone's path, the encouragement that gives another person courage to try again, the kindness that reminds someone they matter. She finds fulfillment not in applause, but in the quiet knowing that she made a difference. Her legacy also extends through the example she sets for future generations. She wants young women to see that strength can be gentle, that leadership can be compassionate, and that success is not about having it all, but about becoming whole. She shows them that self-worth isn't earned through comparison, but through contribution. Her actions plant seeds that will grow long after she is gone, seeds of courage, empathy, and purpose that will bloom in others' lives. Even in her challenges, she leaves behind lessons. She turns her pain into wisdom, her obstacles into guidance for those who come after her. She doesn't hide her past, she uses it as proof that growth is possible. Her transparency becomes her legacy too, a living testament to resilience. She knows that her story, with all its highs and lows, has the power to heal, to teach, and to empower. The rare woman's legacy is a reflection of her heart. It is built not on how much she accumulated, but on how much she gave. It's found in the people she has loved, the kindness she has shown, and the integrity she has protected. Her influence continues to echo in conversations, in memories, and in the lives she's changed. Through her example, she shows that the rarest kind of success is not being remembered by many, but being remembered deeply by a few whose lives are forever better because she existed.